Bill Zadick from Great Falls, Montana. Started wrestling when I was 5 years old, Great Falls, and kind of got into it because my father loved wrestling, and we used to go to matches together. So got a slip in school, and I thought it was a ticket to go watch a match. And I said, well, hey, I'll grab this thing. Me and my dad can go. And it ended up being it was like a sign-up sheet for the local club. So I went, enjoyed it, had a good time. I'd already done some wrestling in the living room with my father, and so I knew a few things, and I loved it and just kept going.
So in high school, how did you do as a high school? Did you change your level from high school to college? Your level of competition?
Yeah, well, before high school, I was pretty serious right away. I mean, I would say by my second year in wrestling, I knew I wanted to do it for a long time. I mean, by the time I was 8 years old, I was already thinking about, I knew what the World Championships were, I knew the Olympics. I knew it was a long ways away, but it was stuff that I was kind of shooting for, I guess, I always had in my mind. So, I sought out the best camps and the best clinicians that I could get to. My dad was pretty passionate about helping me out, I was blessed to have the parents that I have. So, when I definitely raised my level. I remember, doing a very concentrated effort going into high school. I had set a goal to be a 4-time state champ. So coming in as a freshman, that was a pretty focused time, and I was able to accomplish those goals. And then again, raising your level, stepping up to the college ranks and wrestling, Division I college was a lot of fun. It was a huge challenge, and there's a lot of adjustment for me. I was a pretty naive kid coming from Montana, and being kind of in Montana where the population is not very high as a statewide population, there's not a lot of wrestling resource, so you have to kind of go out and find it. And we did that. We traveled a lot. We put 15, 20, 30,000 miles on a vehicle in one summer in a 2-3 month period, finding the best tournaments, the best camps, the best clinicians out there, and training partners and coaches, and finding them and getting the experience and the exposure and the education technically and tactically and mentally that we could. So it took a lot of effort.
When you were younger, who were your heroes?
When I was younger, man, I had a lot of heroes. Of course, everybody knows Gable, and that was when I was a young kid in the 80s. That was in a pretty historic period of the Iowa wrestling tradition, where they reeled off 9 in a row, almost 10. Just narrowly missing that 10th one. And so I always had Gable in the Iowa program as a hero figure. I watched as much of his video as I could. John Smith, I watched a lot of, all the champions from the past. Randy Lewis was another favorite of mine because he had such an unorthodox style of wrestling. It was exciting and fun and high-scoring matches all the time. So I watched a lot of those kind of guys.
What would you say the biggest concerns in wrestling in the U.S. now are, problems that you see?
In the U.S., I would say development is a problem for us. We have a pretty solid system of folk style wrestling, but I feel like the technical innovation and the cutting edge of wrestling is the international wrestling, and I think young athletes need to develop and broaden their horizons and their knowledge base by wrestling all styles of wrestling, Greco, freestyle, and folk style. As they grow and develop, they're going to learn vital skills wrestling in the age group stuff, but in the freestyle, and not just. A lot of people are starting to focus on just folk style, and I think that's holding our country's development and growth back a little bit.